This video is brought to you by Mubi, a curated streaming service showing exceptional films from around the globe. Get a whole month free at mubi.com/SpikimaMovies. When you're a little kid, everything scares you. I was afraid of clowns, scarecrows, tangled wires, camera flash, washing machines, chiming clocks, and even my own shadow at one point. The damn thing was on the wall. I couldn't finish my breakfast. Of course, most of your irrational childhood fears eventually fade away as you learn to replace them with new ideas that are rationally terrifying. Have you ever watched something so scary that it grew to shape your very identity? The year is 2002. Emails are the new norm, and my friends and I have just learned about hyperlinks. True to form, everyone starts sending emails with a harmless "click here" that will always turn out to be either or. But like any new toy, these faces got old real fast, and the frequency of linked emails declined rapidly. So one afternoon, I invited my friend over and told him that we were going to find the scariest face anyone has ever seen. Except searching for an image of a ghost would only yield pictures of skeletons and white-gowned spirits. We tried synonyms, adjectives, and even an entire phrase, but none of them returned quite what we had in mind. Then it hit us. Ghosts are defined culturally, and the best interpretations we had seen at the time were all from Asian horror films. Jackpot. We scrolled through the results, laughing and screaming, reveling in our achievement. We were going to change the game. And then we saw something I wish I hadn't seen. A picture of an unforgettable face. We never sent out the email. For the next 12 months, I woke up with this face in my head and spent the entire day obsessing over its details until my brain wouldn't function anymore and shut itself down. And because I had no courage to re-examine and contextualize what I've witnessed, there was no way for me to stop my compulsive behavior. I began losing weight, interest in hobbies, friends, and avoided going out. I was utterly consumed by desolation. I would later learn that this experience, along with other preceding incidents, likely caused the onset of my OCD symptoms, and that the fear I had to live with wasn't exactly from the image itself, but from the traumatic memory of what it had done to me. But how could I have known that at the time? It took a whole year just for the intrusive thought to go away, and a few more for the suffering to subside to a manageable level, but the dread of accidentally encountering the picture again persisted throughout my adulthood. And if you're wondering, I did bump into the image 2 more times within a few years of the initial viewing, and each time it happened, I had to relive my nightmare for weeks, which only worsened my trepidation, especially since every reunion lasted mere milliseconds, and I couldn't even make out what was in front of me, only the instinctive certainty marked by a sharp physical pain in my head. The visual details no longer had any relevance. At this point, I was simply afraid of being afraid. That's why I made the decision to lock everything away in my mind without ever finding closure. And so did the world. By 2006, the image was no longer being used in the media. By 2016, Asian ghosts in general were falling out of style. And by 2024, it was as if the face had never even existed. What had once been an active hazard was now an ancient matter. I sometimes wonder if things might have turned out differently if that picture had been as popular as some of the other notorious faces. So, I must ask, have you seen this face before? I'm willing to bet that most of you answered no. Either that or you've only seen it recently through my previous video. No wonder, because it's difficult to find even if you try. And this is my own boogeyman of all things. Admittedly, it was partially my fault, since I had to handle everything through my friend at first. I gave him all the relevant information, provided links to Korean search engines, and the best keywords to use. He would then describe the results verbally, and we'll plan our next move accordingly. An absolute hassle. But in my defense, I ended up taking matters into my own hands, and it was still not nearly as easy as I thought. But I did find it, and I did learn about it. Turns out, this is a shot from an old Korean horror film called Woman's Wail, released all the way back in 1986, the original cut of which is no longer available. Set in the Joseon dynasty, Woman's Wail tells the story of a cursed family dealing with the mysterious death of their 3 sons, all of whom died on their wedding night. The mother suspects that an evil spirit is trying to prevent the family from bearing heirs and does her best to protect the youngest daughter-in-law, who is pregnant, from harm. Unfortunately, the ghost possesses the mother and begins killing the remaining family members one by one. And that's where the face comes from. Seeing the picture in motion and without any color adjustments definitely reduces the impact, but all things considered, Woman's Wail is an exceptional piece of work with some genuinely creepy scenes that stand the test of time, bar some ridiculous moments here and there. From the unprecedented special effects makeup, to the iconic laugh of the evil spirit, and the notorious warm noodle sequence, which was real by the way, this film has left viewers stunned for years. Until it disappeared. Korean cinema has an interesting political history, especially during the 1980s with the introduction of a new government initiative now known as the 3S policy. This policy distorted the film industry by easing regulations on the production of B-grade erotic films while reinforcing strict rules against socio-political messages, leading to many domestic genre films losing money as the public interest shifted toward provocative cinema and Hollywood films that were produced without such regulations. It wasn't until the late 90s that Korean cinema began emerging anew with iconic works like Shiri and Joint Security Area, and by the 21st century, the majority of 80s genre flicks had long been forgotten by casual viewers. To make matters worse, the original copyright holder of Woman's Wail passed away a year after the film's release, muddling the distribution rights and compromising any chance of future restoration and redistribution. There was a short period of time in the early 2000s when this picture was readily accessible to anyone in Korea. But this too changed quickly as internet culture pivoted toward SNS and people no longer enjoyed searching for scary images online. In one sense, it's a miracle that the film is being talked about at all today. And to think that despite everything, there were enough people affected by the film to sustain its legacy by sharing this picture online. Now that I'm ready to say goodbye to my old pain, I see myself wishing to preserve its legacy by sharing it with you all. What my friend and I came across that day was not a monstrosity, but a piece of history. So I must ask, does this face look familiar now? Thanks for watching. Hello everyone, thank you so much for watching this very personal video. I probably wouldn't have been able to make a follow-up video if it wasn't for you all who showed interest and support, so thank you again. I talked about one particular film today, but there are hundreds and thousands of films out there that are just as interesting, if not more, and while we all wish we could check them all out, we simply don't have the time. And since I like to go into films blind, it can get extra difficult to make the right choice. I'm sure there are others like me who share this sentiment, and if so, I'd like to talk to you about today's sponsor, Mubi. Mubi is an online curated streaming service dedicated to elevating great cinema from all around the globe, ranging from works of iconic directors to emerging actors. On Mubi, every film is hand-picked, so it's an excellent way to discover new films worth checking out, as well as watch films you already love. Speaking of, I recently got to rewatch Lee Chang-dong's Secret Sunshine on Mubi. Lee Chang-dong is a director of Burning, and Secret Sunshine is not only one of my favorite works of his, but also one of my favorite Korean films, period. I'm currently in Canada, so your movie selection may look different if you're elsewhere, but Mubi always has a carefully picked selection of works that are more than worth watching. So if you're interested in trying Mubi free for 30 days, you can do so today by using my link at mubi.com/SpikimaMovies. That's mubi.com/SpikimaMovies. So go check it out, and I'll see you all in the next one.